Good morning. Welcome to Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. It also goes later on onto the YouTube channel, as well as blogtalkradio.com/Lily Dale Radio. Now, Blog Talk Radio is a listen-only feature podcast version, so you can put your little earbuds in or listen however you wish. And there are other shows that are part of the Lily Dale Radio family, and I encourage you to look at those throughout the week. But I'm here Wednesday mornings on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium. And this is year 6 of my podcast. It has gone by so incredibly fast. And on my podcast, I typically have a special guest on the show, and we talk about a topic relating to either spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, or more. And I'm always blessed with my special guests, and I am delighted to have back on my show Barbara Sanson. Hello, Barbara.
Hello, Willa. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Oh, I'm always thrilled to see Barbara. She's got an energy, an aura that just kind of goes, ooh.
Wow.
It's
Thank
true.
you.
It's
Thank
true.
you.
And for those of you who don't know who Barbara Sanson is, she is a registered Lily Dale medium for many years now, decades, and a former chairperson of the Lily Dale Healing Temple. So you may recognize her from not just serving and giving mediumship readings and messages at the Stump and Temple, but also in the Healing Temple,
yes, indeed,
offering healing to people. And you've been such a beautiful force of helping people to understand healing. And you still teach classes.
Yes, I do.
In spiritual healing.
Yes, I do.
And I know you probably have some things coming up, and probably some things for the summer too, right?
Hopefully, yes. It all looks that way. Yes, indeed.
So you're gonna want to get on the docket for her in terms of taking spiritual healing classes when those become available.
Thank you.
Yes. And we encourage you to look back at the archive videos of Wednesdays with Willa, because, as I said, Barbara has been on the show many times before, and we've talked about spiritual healing. So if you want to know more about spiritual healing and be taught by a very valuable spiritual teacher, Barbara's the person.
Well, thank you so kindly for those words. Well,
yes, absolutely.
May I live up to them all. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. Today, we're going to be talking about spiritual healing and polarities.
Correct.
And what's involved with the polarities that are used for spiritual healing and conducting a spiritual healing in a very positive way. But some of these applications are good for you to know in your everyday life.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you. They are. I think that's why it's nice to bring this topic to Willa's Wednesday day radio, that you can listen and absorb. Actually, the whole topic, it could be a college course. There's so much to know about it. But today we're going to do just a tiny little part of that deals with spiritual healing, hands-on healing, and understanding what we're actually doing besides just touching, besides just preparing in a meditation or a prayer. Yes. What's really also taking place there in the exchange of energy. So with that, I'm very happy to present with you. And I know that the hour's going to go by very quickly,
just like that,
with all of this. So I'm going to try to the best of my ability edit some things, and there's a lot about this. There are a couple of books I would recommend when Willa says on your mark, get set, go. And I will give you the title of those books. They would be helpful to you. You can also consult Amazon or any other bookstore, metaphysical bookstore. There's a lot written about magnetic therapy, about electro and biomagnetic force fields. Yes, indeed.
Yes, and those are things that are important to understand, again, not just for spiritual healing, but for your life and
Absolutely.
How energy works.
Absolutely.
So even if you're not planning to be a spiritual healer, this is good to know, so that when you're interacting with the earth and other people and your own energy, you have a better sense of things.
Yes, indeed. Yes, and we don't when we're young, because it's not dived the divingness into that topic doesn't really hit until we maybe get into high school with physics or biology or chemistry on some level, touches with parts of that. And then we go through life and really not pay much attention to it, except if we, short out a fuse or short out an outlet in the kitchen, oh, or we get a shock by touching something that we didn't think was live, right. And then we go, well, that's just affirming, folks, that we are magnetic and biomagnetic. It certainly is, or we wouldn't have those kind of responses.
Yeah, and when you're around certain people, you can feel it. There's
Absolutely.
An energy that exudes from them.
Absolutely.
When you're with them, and you recognize it, and you just feel a little bit differently than you would around other people.
Absolutely, folks. That is, and sometimes it tells us, gently move away.
That's right.
And other times it'll tell us in that wonderful attraction, oh, this person is so joyful, so good. I want to talk to them more. I want to know more about them. And the other thing too is when we go into different places, houses, institutions, centers, hospitals, different buildings, you can read in the sense of being receptive to whether that feels like, wow, I really want to stay here, or God, I hope my appointment's only 3 minutes because I want to get it.
Yes,
we
get
can
out
tell.
of there.
We can tell
Yeah.
to some degree, and that innately is the biomagnetic fields working through us. Our heart is electromagnetic in the sense of the sending of all of that energy to all of our body.
Yes.
But we don't learn that in, maybe they do now in certain sections of school. But boy, when I was going through school, which 150 years ago, by the way, folks, but it was hardly talked about.
We did a show about the heart.
Yes, we
and
did.
Spiritual healing. So look back.
Yes, because the heart is the governor, the relay.
And she gave us all kinds of science information.
Well,
too.
And it's still out there, folks. And so as you go along and find this, this will be helpful to you in your everyday life, number one. For those of you who want to pursue the opportunity of ministry, metaphysical studies, hands-on healing, nurses, people in the healthcare field, there's part of this, though I don't have healthcare huge 25-letter words to give you, it does have a direct relationship with the energy that's exchanged.
Yes.
And so it's important, I think, on a therapeutic, if you will, level, to understand a little bit about this. And we can see some of the things that have happened in the world by people pulling in. We can already, and we know that, and it's not always a very dangerous or detrimental situation, but we can feel it and we think, oh, golly, going to the grocery store and everybody's got their cart going 35 miles an hour, and think, oh my God, this is kind of a dangerous situation. It's because people have pulled in to protect themselves. Yeah. It's not that they're deliberately trying to be hard or crass or difficult to socially understand one another. We've been out of fear, because fear is the, it's mind creation, and then fear, people out of fear, other than consciously, I would say, have protected themselves.
Yeah. It's like their auras are all shrink wrapped around them instead of expansive, outward. And your aura really does help you. It's like your antenna that is extended out into the world.
Your barometer.
And it's always kind of tasting the world and understanding what is in the environment and how you relate to this plane of existence and the energies upon it.
Exactly. Thank you, Will. And then what we can do about that, it's like a three-way street between the divine, ourselves, and the community, the social part of us. There's a kind of a three-way component, and we can learn to diffuse some of that negative energy by reminding ourselves we are magnetic, we are biomagnetic. We can do spiritual healing, the laying on of hands, or just aura energy, placing your hands in the aura. It still works the same way. Yes. And or just sitting, if you are a therapist or a teacher, just sitting and letting that energy roll off of you in a positive, loving way. Yes. But that's our responsibility. And it doesn't always just, it's within us, but it doesn't always manifest through us without us doing a little pre-op, a little setting of the stage, so to speak, and clearing our thoughts, our hearts, our attitudes. So I'd like to start,
absolutely,
if I could, folks, I'm not going to talk about a lot of natural law today, but I am going to talk about the law of polarity, and that the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, and those are the two things we're going to go into with hands-on healing, the negative and the positive, the left hand and the right hand, or the left part of our body and the right part of our body. But first, just a few sentences out of, this is a book from the 1970s by a doctor, I can hardly pronounce his name. This is a book that was written in India, Ben Gavala, and he was a doctor, and he wrote this wonderful book about electromagnetic energy, the therapeutic concepts of magnetic healing. Be a magnet being placed on someone, be they drinking magnetic water, be it being used like today. They have blankets that people sleep on that have magnets in them.
Yes.
Okay? So,
I've definitely seen those.
40 or 50 years ago, they may not have had that quite as pronounced as it is today.
Right.
But you can go into a store and buy things that are magnetically infused with magnet. So the law of polarity, the yin and yang.
And a health magnet is different from a refrigerator magnet.
They both have polarities.
Yes.
But one usually is much less in strength than the other.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Oh God, I got to tell you this before I get started. My friend and I go to the ATM, okay? And she has the energy that easily trips magnetic things.
Oh.
She just does. I mean, I don't, but she does. She goes into the ATM little building and the door closes. And when the door closes, the magnetic strip for sealing you in there, like if you've done something you shouldn't do, went bang, and it locked the door. And we did our very, very best to try to get her out of that situation, but we had to call for help. We needed somebody bigger and stronger magnetically than us.
I had the swipe card or whatever.
Oh, didn't work.
Wow.
Oh, it was amazing.
Wow.
So now we laugh about it, but at the time it wasn't funny at all.
It wasn't.
So that's a good sense of very strong magnet being used in a way of safety, in a way of crime prevention by locking a door. And my friend is no criminal, by God. She just wanted to go in and get a little money out of the ATM. But we laughed about it later.
Oh,
we did.
My.
So to go here to the law of polarity. This law is the first and fundamental law of all creation, being also, I would say, parallel or comparable to the law of love. The North and South poles will attract one another, and they will with you. And simply, if you rub your hands together to create a little friction, and then you gently pull them apart. I don't know about each and every one of you, but folks, my hands are going boom, 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 boom. You can feel that push-pull effect, and that is part of it. It's created energy between the physical manifestation of your flesh. And so that wonderful energy, don't throw it away now, okay? Just take it and put it right over you. Thank you, God. And you can feel that. I'm sure some of you can. And so there we go. The positive and negative together will generate an electrical current. And that's what happened the day my friend, the same friend, we're making the things for the craft show, okay?
That's what it happened.
And she's, I don't know what she did, because I looked over, and the next thing I know, there was electrical white light charge coming right off her head. And she's very sensitive to electrical equipment. And I said, did you feel that? Did you get a buzz? Are you all right? She said, no, I'm fine. I said, well, I hope that fruitcake's going to be.
And I would say the fruitcake is tasty. I've had it.
Anyway.
I didn't know it had an extra charge.
Well, but you see, haven't you ever seen that kind of fuzzy white light between people, or you take off your sweater
in wintertime.
In the wintertime, and it's static, and it creates that ray of...
You can see it in the dark better.
The charge, yes. Same principle, a buildup of either positive or negative energy, just a buildup of energy, and it's a release. And so that's two of the most common things I can think of. So to go back to this, the positive and negative together will generate an electrical current. An acid and an alkali will form a salt. Both are opposite. A man and a woman will bring forth a child. The law of polarity or opposites exists throughout creation. That's my point today, with us doing a little more understanding of magnetic healing. Yin and yang. There are two energies at work in our body. So the law, let's see, if we go in our own bodies, the state of health depends upon the state of equilibrium between the positive and the negative forces within our bodies. They all obey this fundamental cosmic law. And I think we have seen that over and over and over again, in the sense of, we now in the 21st century understand how easy it is to get sick from having high stress. It doesn't have to be terminal, but it can be as simple as a cold. Your immune system, the vibration of your body goes down. And it's, if you're in the area or the field where you get wet feet, for example, or you are with people who are already having a cold and expressing that through sneezing, the next thing you know, in a few days, you have the cold because your vibration is down. But what we can learn from that is we can also do the things to reinforce both the yin and the yang in strength, that we can be centered, balanced, and work with the laws of the universe, as I'm going to go on to, that can re-strengthen us, as well as be extremely supportive in someone that would come for hands-on healing, or if you are helping your family, sick child, hands-on healing, headache with grandpa, hands-on healing, not feeling centered and balanced myself, go out into the world and come home, and then I think, oh my God, all those poor people are in such a frenzy. Well, you've collected some of that frenzy. It's jumped in your fields.
We don't want to allow that further.
No, so we have to diffuse it by sitting and perhaps cleansing our auras, perhaps having some water or a little walk in nature. There are many ways. When we walk in nature, it's such a healthy thing for us, because our polarities, our magnetic self, is rekindling its relationship with the earth.
Yes.
And it's very, very supportive, mentally, emotionally, physically, and always, folks, spiritually. That's why we here in our beautiful community advocate spiritual healing first. The consciousness of understanding through our spiritual bodies that are way out, around us in energy, though we don't see it, but it's so, that they are working for our greater good. Let's support them. Mm-hmm. Let's support that energetic field. I want to show you briefly okay, I know it's here.
She's got papers, folks. She's prepared for this today.
Let me get the right paper, Willa. Here we are. We talked about this earlier. I want you folks, and I hope this comes through lovely on YouTube or Facebook, I want you to see, now, if you look at right here, the rainbow colors, and I'm not going to explain all the rest of it because it's a science class and we do not have time for that, but I want you to be aware that through that tiny little line right there, that is all we see with our visual eyes. The colors that are brought to us from the light. The rest of it is all energy that happens. And like my friend who got a little zap from the mixer at my house, she might have seen a little something more, in the sense of the response of that magnetic field going off. It was very brief, but do understand, ladies and gentlemen, that what we see visually with our eyes right here between these two colors is very, very marginal compared to all the energy of the universe. So I used to say to people, do you have to see it to believe it? Because if you have to see it to believe it, you are setting a very narrow permission slip with your own body to think about truth in the sense of the vastness of our world. And that is also magnetic. We don't know all the things, but science is discovering more and more and more. And that is why they have these wonderful machines like MRIs, like CAT scans. I'm not saying to run like X-rays, but remember, when I talk about those things, just a moment please so I get the right side. Yes, thank you. They are running all over in the purple area. So they are running, those waves are running much faster, much quicker than the slower waves, like the radio wave, the television wave, the microwave. So we don't all see them, but believe me, folks, they are out there. And we can get overdosed from those. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, let me just refer to a healing service. People will come and say, oh, I'm so tired. I just want to sit and know the love of God within me. So the healer will often give them a little prayer and ask permission to put their hands on them. And when they do that, the response of the person who is now open to receive the rebalance or the renewal all of a sudden feels, oh, this is so wonderful. And we can do that for ourselves. Just like the little exercise that I did when we rubbed our hands together and we felt the force fields right about there. You can take that energy and bring it with your fingertips closed over yourself, not touching yourself, but just over yourself. It will absorb and eradicate any negative ions that you have received, such as going shopping or going someplace where there's lots of people. And if you need to do that, give yourself permission to take 5 minutes because it will make you feel better. Mm-hmm. Of course, it might want to make you take a nap too. Little kids love little children who are coming in crying and frustrated and upset, though they don't know, sometimes just doing that for a little child in a baby seat at the healing temple. By the time their mother or father's healing is over, you look down and their eyes are closed. because they've allowed them, how innocent, it's so beautiful because they have allowed themselves to absorb that right away.
Yeah, they've kind of gone into that like alpha cat space.
Beautiful, yes, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to go on here, folks, and move along and say simply to you, I want to talk about the North and the South Pole, the two poles of polarity that exist not only around us, but within us. And, you know, people, I think years and years ago, before the science world was where it was today, I'm talking about back in medieval times even, the power of touch was very, very strong. However, the power of touch at that time was designated only to the kings, the power people, the shamans, and the priest or the monks or the holy men. It wasn't anything that was allowed to be done by the common person, thereby thinking they had an exclusive power that
not
others
in the power
different.
club.
Yeah, but of course we know that way is not true. So here we go with North Pole. North Pole, if you will, please, is a negative polarity. And I'll explain why we mean negative. And we call it yin. And it is your left palm. Took me 40 years to get right and left. But it's so easy when you're going like this on the screen.
Oh.
Yeah, L for left. It is your left palm. It reduces stress. This negative, cooling, soothing energy reduces heat, reduces, I'd say, internal, fluterations, if you will, stomach upset, headache. It is a blue radiance as it would be seen in a field of dissecting energy. Okay, it would show as a blue radiance. So when someone says, oh, I just have a headache and it's driving me crazy, I would say simply to all of us, take your left hand. Palm is blue energy. Palm is negative. In other words, it's not negative, naughty, no. It's negative in the sense of producing a counterbalance to the positive. So here we have a negative palm. The opposite is true of your hand. And the opposite on the opposite side is positive. So even if someone only has one hand to work with, folks, you can still use that energy.
Wow.
When you have two and you place them palms down on the body, well, I'll do that on your shoulder.
Go ahead.
Okay, palms down. Now we have a positive force. We have a yang. We have a red. We have a stimulating. We have a invigorating, energizing, uplifting. Okay. So if we put them, Willis says, "Oh, my shoulders are so tight." So we come and we place both our hands on the upper part of her shoulder, maybe where her collarbone extends in, maybe where her thoracic begins, and we just put our hands there and just let it be. We can affirm an affirmation of goodness and healing, but I really encourage students in the very, very beginning of their work, think nothing but love. Just think love. Not a person, not necessarily always an image, just the four-letter word, love. And just let the person absorb. There we go. Thank you. See, she just went, this is good. And so I don't know what exactly Willa received. It's not my business. Correctly, it's not my business. It is her business with God or those in the spirit that have helped. And so I just say, thank you, God. To myself, when I'm doing this kind of work, I just say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And gratitude is a great, great fostering of love when you are grateful. So in gratitude, I just say thank you, and I move on. So
Thank you, Barbara.
Oh, nice. So let's go back to our North Pole, please. Everybody, if you can and are willing to, just put up your left hand, okay? Now, in this, it does reduce stress. We don't always have to touch the body. We can, if I will demonstrate again, Willa, we can take our left hand with the intention of helping her, with the prayer quietly of doing the highest good that this can receive for her, that it belongs to her, not to me. I'm just the conduit, but to her. And so I would just place my left hand just gently around her head. And sometimes people say, oh, I've got a headache. Well, I'd take my left hand and I would put it right, not touching her forehead, but just by her forehead. And sometimes just a little movement will move the energy away, and it will bring clarity, and it will bring a settling of all of those cells. Thank you, Willa. Thank you. That might be in turmoil. You know, because a headache doesn't come, boing, just there. It builds up. It comes from other messages our body gives us, and then it winds up clunk as a headache, you see. And it can be often stress and tension. There are other reasons for headaches, folks, but I'm talking about what would be the most common thing that we would experience. Driving home in 5 o'clock traffic in New York City, that would give me a major headache, okay? But people seem to do it, and then a lot of times when they get home, they're all stressed out because it took them an hour and a half to get home. And if they would only understand that they can do something themselves to help themselves, as well as potentially at times and places help their family, help their animals, help the environment. Just sitting in a quiet space with a prayer and the thought of healing. You are the vessel. The energy of love and healing from the divine is going through you and going out to the universe wherever it is needed. One of the things we do in spiritual healing is say very simply that may this energy go to someone who has no one to pray for them. And it will, just like Catherine Kuhlman and her wonderful words years ago and her wonderful teachings of spiritual healing. That energy will be directed to where it is needed the greatest. And so God needs each and every one of us, folks. That is for sure in the 21st century. So I'm going to go on now to negative polarity, your left hand. It is often incredibly soothing and calming. And that can be for your heart, for your stomach, for a knee, an ankle. It is not always, I can never profess to you and say, oh, it's a cure. I don't know that because it's between you and the energy of spirit that is accepting and integrating this healing. It may awaken you. It may make you feel quiet. It may give you the sense, I need to go and further this by doing this or this or this. But yes, all healing done with love and the highest intention always leaves a mark of the greater good. Always. We may not be aware of it as human beings, you see, especially if it's your first or second healing, or you're just learning about this. But eventually, as time goes on and people get more acclimated, more familiar, more comfortable, they sit in a group and they go, absolutely, Barbara, you're absolutely. It never does harm. It only does good. Mm-hmm. Did you want to say something before?
No, I love it.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay, with love. With love. So, other things that the yin does, it does promote the healing and balance with your left palm, but it also reinforces the energy. It is associated with the white blood cells of the body. So let's say somebody has an infection, or somebody has a boil or an abscess, okay? And it hasn't quite come to the surface, but you know it's there. You know it's working, okay? Taking, if it's on your right side, if it's on your left side, it's a little tricky. However, you can, in a sense, ask that healing energy move away from your palm and move into the area that is conflicted. You can ask it. And folks, my hand just went boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Because your body has such a magnificent intelligence. Your body wants to be whole and balanced. It is not always, because we deal with things in this life. But the natural state is whole and balanced. So I say, when I've cut my finger, because, you know, you get a little crazy sometimes, chopping the romaine lettuce. I don't want to chop anything more than the romaine, but a couple of times that's happened. So, immediately, don't think about the blood. Don't think about the pain. Think about the laws of the universe that will help you to nullify and create healing for that piece of your body. And I would just hold it. And if you hold it long enough, it usually will congeal and stop bleeding. Not everybody, but often. And I have had cuts from cooking or scratching myself with a knife or something that have started to heal in less than 24 hours. Now, I'm not the big shot. Please, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that your body wants you to be whole, wants you to be healthy, wants you to be balanced. Mm-hmm. Some of us, unfortunately, do not have all of that in this lifetime. Our journeys are interrupted by accidents, illness, mishap. But there's improvement that can be given to you. And it's perhaps in the form of more spiritual awareness for you in the laws of the universe, how to deal with your thinking, that can then deal with your creativity, that then can dispel some of your fear. Mm-hmm. But we cannot give away what we do not have. So healers, people potentially wanting to learn spiritual healing, please, the biggest thing I start out with, and people I know, some of them are so with it, they love it, and others go, oh, we got to sit here and listen to that. It's about love. It's about your intention. It's about clearing yourself.
Yes.
It's about understanding that what you do to yourself, you do to all. And so it does take a while for some of us to get in the right zone. And that's wonderful, because they do. And then they love what they're doing. It becomes joyful to them.
Yes.
Okay. Left hand. Front of the head. So if you do have a headache, if you do have confusion, and children, young people, if you're taking a test and you're feeling frustrated, take your left hand, put it right up there.
So this is allowed. This is allowed. Most people are like, don't put your hand, but it's allowed. You're doing it for healing purposes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. You know, maybe you can only leave it there a little while, you know, because the teacher might walk back and say, well, you got answers in the wrinkles in your forehead, you know, or whatever, I don't know. But you know what? It does soothe you. It does soothe the mental body, and that helps you to rebalance and recalibrate the work that you're doing. Okay, internal consciousness. Oh my, yes, yes. Internal consciousness to the point of your thyroid and your throat, your chest, your lungs, your heart, your solar plexus, your intestines, and the rootedness of who we are, as well as our hips, our knees, our ankles. Those of us who can bend over and do that, I would say don't be afraid to try it. But don't just try it. Prepare yourself to try it. Because, no. Unless you've been doing this for years and years, and you've probably done 200-300 healings, don't jump to conclusions. Oh, I'm going to take this away. Ask the divine within you and the divine around you to bring forth the healing energy that will help you for the greatest good. I accept this and I give my thanks for that, God. You see, don't treat this casually, folks. It's out there. It will work for you. But don't assume that just by swooping up your hand, you're going to be able to do it. Leave that for the masters who have studied for years and years and are automatically in such a flow of that manifestation that they walk it, they talk it, they live it every day of their life. Okay, so the last thing about North Pole, it is a clock. Now see, this is the right and left again.
Yes.
Left hand. It is a clockwise motion as the dials on the clock move. And I just practice that a little bit, a couple of you out there, because if you're like me, you go, let's see, have I got this? Yeah, it's the clockwise motion, because your other hand is going to be opposite. And in the beginning of learning this, it is a little confusing to some people, and that's okay. Take your time. Don't rush. Take your time. Manifest that this is moving in a clockwise motion.
So it's wax on,
wax
not
on,
wax off.
Wax on, and your other hand is wax on.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah. When we use the hands together, I would advise most of us, do not try to do one hand and the other hand. Do them equally the same. The left hand will balance out the right one. If the right one wants to do counterclockwise, you see. But in this case, you can do both of them. So if I go to Willa in just a moment, and I take my left hand, and I begin in a circle like a clock, without ever touching her. See her, folks? She felt that. And she absorbed it, and thank you, Willa. And she agreed to let it be hers. The words that I'm saying aren't just casual, made up as we go along here. The words that I'm saying to you are very important for you to understand that you do not have to force anything on this recipient. And so there is no necessity to, none of that. Be gentle with the recipients and yourself. It is a homework assignment in a sense of learning. This is a whole different strategy about racing out to go grocery shopping and have a cart that's got a defense all around it. Well, so you don't bang into the people next to you. It's like the strategy out in the real world is to be a buffer and avoid things. Here, love is the healer through the channels of God or divine or spirit or angels, guides, and teachers, whatever you believe them to be. And so just simply let it be. and say in your own mind, thank you, God, that this person has received, thank you, Willa, and been the conduit of that healing. So now as we go along, how are we doing for time?
We're good.
Oh, okay. Now as we
15 minutes or so.
Okay. Now as we go along, we're going to do other hand, right hand, polarity, yang, like I said. Red radiance. So right red. That's easy to remember.
There you go. Right red.
Right red. So we've got stimulating, strengthening, expansive. The right energy tends to expand things. It has a much, in our color, it has a much, it's very much next to the prisms of the rainbow colors. It is a powerful energy. It is the first one. It is about creation. It is about strength. It is about fortitude. It is about the sunrise or the sunset when it looks brilliantly red or orange. It is about the power of the GTOs or all the cars. You know, in the 70s and 80s, anybody had a red car, had a hot car, and they were all red. God, now I try to avoid them because I see them coming and I think, you know, we don't know if that person's in charge or not, but especially when you drive on the 4-lane highways and you see them going 85 miles an hour. I just get over, you know, senior me, I get over in the old ladies lane and stay there because some of those people are just way too energetic. So, right palm, red radiance.
Fire flame.
That's right.
Fireball.
Yep, right. And you know when the kids have the candy that's red?
Oh, yeah.
It's usually hot. Okay. Okay. So, also, stimulating, expansive, like we said. It is energizing and uplifting. Now, may I place this hand on you?
She always likes to ask permission.
Always. So what I'm going to do is take my red hand, my yang hand, the one that is strengthening and powerful, and just place it in front of her head. And I move away that fast because I felt, and I'm not trying to analyze what I'm doing, but I felt, honestly, I felt her soak it up and hold it and then let it go. It was almost like I don't think Willa needed any more red energy there.
Okay.
But sometimes when people hurt, arthritis, sore, achy muscles, back pain, frustration, yes, like arthritis around your ankles or so on and so forth, the right hand can do absolute miracles. And the person who loved to write about that was Harry Edwards. Mm-hmm. He has a whole dissertation about helping rheumatism and arthritis with hands-on healing.
Mm-hmm. Very famous British spiritual healer.
Absolutely.
That established many healing spiritual centers.
Absolutely.
In England.
And there are books that he's written, and you could certainly look at them or check them out. Absolutely. It increases blood pressure if you use it in someone that feels fatigued, or you know their blood pressure is low. I would not, as a spiritual healer, ask any questions about those things. It is not my business. I am not a nurse or a nurse practitioner. I do not analyze, or we do not, investigate or try to find out more about health conditions. If a recipient wants to tell you, allow them to do that. Allow them to say what they need to say and just say, thank you very much for that information. The spirit world has listened. So here we go. Red blood cells. It helps create red blood cells, which is very good in the case of people who need to make more red blood cells. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It does deal with the back of the head. Now, yin deals with the front of the head. Yang deals with the back of the head. So sometimes when you're doing spiritual healing, you might want to put your hand at the end of the occipital bone as the vertebrae begin down her neck. And Will is liking this a lot. I can feel that. And I'm going to lift my hand now, Willa. Okay, just so you know. But people find it comforting. It's not you. It's the energy that they're absorbing. They find it comforting. They find it relaxing. Very, very nice. Very nice. So then at the end, it is external consciousness. It's about out here. And it is about perhaps their breath rate, their heart rate, because that's inward, but it's measured outwardly. Pulse rate, you see. But it's also about the energy that they're carrying. Sometimes people are so fatigued, so tired, so perhaps having immunity, calibrations and different things that are going on. Also, recovering addictions find that red energy sometimes is very, very needy. So we can stay, if you will, using, Willa, you're having a good time today.
I am.
But
this is great.
You would leave it out in front of you. Fingers together, please. And just place that energy around them. And I can guarantee, with most people anyway, thank you, Willa, that they will absolutely love a spiritual healing. And it will feel very good to them. However, there's always a few people who are very, very, very fearful and uncertain and a little reluctant. So I'd say, folks, if you decide to do any healing work, be gentle. Don't force it upon anyone. And sometimes the lesser is better than the more in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. And
I always try to end with a little prayer of gratitude briefly. And my prayer says, please take this healing with you and let it continue to work for you. It is yours. And I thank you for receiving. Make it simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Electromagnetic fields are 5,000 times stronger than our brain waves. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, sit with that for a moment.
I know. It's amazing because there are things going on outside of us and inside, but I'm speaking generally now of external consciousness that are going on that we don't even know about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happening split second.
Yes.
Okay, the next thing is these magnetic fields permeate every cell and fiber of your being. If you work on it, someone may have a backache or a shoulder pain, and just leaving your hands there for a period of time and letting them absorb. And sometimes I have to encourage them by saying, would you gently and slowly just breathe in and breathe out and accept this renewal as it comes to you. Thank you, Willa. It's a little bit different energy. It feels just a wee bit different. And it's because I've engaged her and asked her to consciously accept what is being sent to her. And how much she accepts it, or he, as you will, we don't know. But then it becomes, ladies and gentlemen, this person's responsibility to receive the healing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. This goes through glass, wood, metal, materials, fluids. The electromagnetic field generated by the heart envelops entire body and extends in all directions. So all over, you will feel better. All over. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The chronic stress elevates levels of cortisol, which is really a slow poison over a long period of time. But spiritual healing can help stimulate. It's not the cure, but it will help stimulate the immune system to help your immune system function against a buildup of cortisol. Negative ions clean away positive charged particles, just like we talked about, going to a store or a place where there's a lot of chaos. Oxygen carries a negative charge. The negative charge breaks down in Kepler scientific decoding to a blue radiance. So oxygen carries a negative charge. Healing with your hands, healing with the spirit. Just again, a person who can't receive, a person can receive the gift of healing by asking in prayer and allowing themselves to receive. So we have a lot that we can do for ourselves and one another. And I want you to tell me.
We're doing great.
Okay.
We're doing great.
Okay. Thank you. I don't want to run over or be redundant. We have a lot we can do to help ourselves. We have a lot we can do to help the world, our children, our families, animals, cats and dogs and horses, they all love that. And even a bird in a bird cage, that you think, oh, they're flighty. No, you just go up and you don't touch them. You just send that energy. You can help, and they'll start looking at you like, hey, what's going on out there?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I have a couple other things I'd just like to bring up too. And that is quite simply, I want to make sure I've covered the basics. This is the basics, folks. And when you don't know, don't worry about doing something wrong. Example, you've listened today, okay? And you go, oh, I'm going to go try this. And then you go, oh, I can't remember what Barbara Sand said. Did she say right or left? Oh my God, which one was it? Look, folks, your heart in love is not going to do wrong. So you just simply, okay, God, I don't remember, but I'm going to put my hands on my mom's, my sister's, my cousin's shoulder because it hurts, and I'm just going to let God send love there. Say that in your mind and just let it be. Thank you, Lord. You will do no wrong. You will do no wrong. It's nice to know a little more, because then and a lot of people today have spinal.
90 seconds.
We're fine.
A lot of people today have spinal or orthopedic problems. It's very, very common. And this is not a cure. It could be on some level. I'm certainly not saying to go out there and do that. But I never know what somebody's going to receive and how it's going to help them. That's why I'm saying it's up to the person. And perhaps in a percentage of healings, it could be better. But just place both of your hands on that person's back and just ask the light of God to send that healing that is open to be received and required. And quietly in your mind, you don't have to even say it out loud. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. Mm-hmm. Because that energy is universal. It is with us. It is around us. It is infinite and eternal. So one of the things I did like 35 years ago, maybe 40 even years ago, I was very curious about all this. And I had a person that I took care of, an older person, and she had sores on her feet and her legs. And I put cotton between each toe, and I took care of her as best I could. And what I did was I put spiritual healing on one set of cotton. I put the yin, the left, the positive. And on the other, I did nothing. And I treated both of her feet. and I wish I would document it. She even told her physician, her MD, but he didn't get excited at all. He just kept looking at his papers. And that's okay, folks, because it's not about me, and it's not about any, no. It was about making her feel more comfortable. That foot actually began to heal up.
Wow.
And then, of course, she had to move and go with her children and so on and so forth. But that actually started getting better. So I don't know the vast potential of spiritual healing. I don't know that. But I know in the light of God, in the divine, we've all been given the opportunity to learn about it and use it and to pay it forward. And that's what we can do for one another. By the way, the red energy, the North Pole, I'm just kind of, the right hand, the South Pole, does magnificent in plants. Plants love the red energy, like my African violets and some of my, I go over them, I do the circles both ways over them. They just love it, love it, love it. And seeds will, they've done science studies, seeds will germinate faster. Isn't that something?
That is something.
Yeah. And animals love it too. Of course, what happens is you get your dog who loves it all, belly up on the floor, and won't let you go because they're going to want some more of that wonderful healing energy. But it is good for your plants and your cats and dogs, and mostly it's good for you, and it's good for the people that you will help.
Yes.
Yeah. So I write on this paper that from long ago, these are probably from almost 30 years ago, 25 years ago. Do not get too caught up in the details of polarity. Again, like I just said, yes, there are different negative, positive, cool, stimulating. Absolutely, that's all you need to know. And if somebody has a backache, I would not necessarily put my red hand immediately on them. I would put it over and put it like this, over, like this, folks.
Yeah.
Over the back.
So the left hand.
So
below
the left, yes, below the right hand.
hand.
And just let it stay there. And people will often say, oh my God, that feels so much better. And I just say in my heart, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. And you know the thing about spiritual healing? There are people who have degrees and credentials. I have some myself, but I'm talking about the pureness, the beauty, the innocence, and the goodness that spiritual healing can do. It's free. In free in the sense that you have a right to learn it, use it, bless it, hold it in gratitude, and have it there in the event that somebody doesn't feel well or needs help.
Yes. Beautiful. And just a quick note, if you're watching this on Facebook or later on, the way Facebook records, it's always opposite. So if you're wondering why did they put it up the right hand when it's left hand or whatever, just reverse it in your mind because Facebook does weird, wonky things in terms of that.
Thank you, Willa. I forgot that. I thank you very much for that.
But it's something that just happens. Flow, go with it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but I think it's really cool to be talking about this, especially as we approach Christmas. That the North Pole gets a lot of airtime during this time of year.
Oh, it does. So God bless the North Pole, which has moved gently over time. You know, what it was when we were children isn't exactly where it is today. It has moved slightly.
I've also heard that the continents are slowly shifting.
Yes, they
being
are.
drawn toward the North Pole.
Yes, indeedy. So there we are. I'd like to leave you with a little prayer and a little thought, if I might.
Please.
And this is from Eric Butterworth, the most wonderful, most respected Unity minister. I cannot encourage you enough, if you find his books, to read this book, The Flow of Life.
In the Flow of Life by Eric Butterworth.
Right. And then here's a little passage from his book. If you want to just close your eyes for a moment and just listen to the words that he has written. Let your mind and heart release all that disturbs you. Let your body be still, and all the fretting of your body, and all that surrounds it. Let the earth and the sea and the air be still, and heaven itself. And then think of spirit as streaming, pouring, rushing, and shining into you, through you, and out from you in all directions while you sit quiet. Amen. And therefore, you are ready to be in the focus of giving and receiving the wonderful spiritual energy that is available to each and every one of us. Thank you, folks. I've loved you all.
Oh, amen. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
What a delicious show. I hope you guys enjoy this energy, polarity for spiritual healing show. It's really very special to have Barbara here with us.
Oh, thank you.
And for those of you, again, who are interested in spiritual healing, she does do classes, and you can check out barbarasanson.com for her website and more information. And here at Lilydale, we do spiritual healing through the summer. There are usually a couple services a day during the summer season program, which won't be till June 23rd. That's the opening date of this next year. But it's a 10-week season. And then in the off season, at the Healing Temple here in Lilydale, they still do live services. People can come on Wednesday evenings, and it's a hands-on service. You can look up more information about that on the Lilydale Healing Temple Facebook site and get more information about how you can attend. And they also do healing via Zoom, Facebook as well. That happened in the last few years, having a bit of the hybrid of absent healing. But if you're wanting hands-on healing, where you can feel the energy in a more personal way, the way Barbara has been working with me today, that's where you can have those experiences here in Lilydale.
Yes, as well as perhaps I would also say the churches in the area.
Absolutely. On Sunday services, you can, part of the service is dedicated to healing. And so you come to Church of Living Spirit, you could come to the Lilydale Spiritualist Church, Fellowships of the Spirit, sometimes City of Light. They don't have it every Sunday, but you can check out their schedules. And usually in the Sunday service, they have a healing portion, a lecture, and a message part of the service.
Yes, and I think the interesting thing is everybody is an individual. So what you receive on any given, opportunity, it could be a little bit different. You could feel more or less healing energy, if you will, hot or cold. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Please understand, folks, that if you receive cool energy, there's a reason for it. And that is that it may be working in the vibrations, of the left hand's energy very strongly. So bless it all. Bless the good of the opportunity and take it home with you.
So when you come and sit on a bench, just know it's a few minutes of sitting on the bench and a spiritual healer that's working around you energetically.
And then thank them, if you would. All that's necessary is to just look up and say thank you for the healing. That's all.
Because they're volunteering to be a channel, a conduit of healing energy and prayer for you from the divine.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of it.
Absolutely.
We're all in the journey of life and love together. And I think very apparent from the time I was a child anyway, that this is a very high time when we can contribute to the good of healing on this planet. And every time you do a healing, it would not only be received for the individual if you are working with a person, but it would go, that healing energy or balm, if we call it, would go to where it is needed the greatest.
And it'll flow and go along with polarity and the other laws of the universe.
You bet. You bet.
If you want more about the laws of the universe and laws of spiritual healing, like I said, there are archived videos of past shows when Barbara Sanson has been my guest. And I look forward to having you on the show again another time. Hopefully in this next year, 2023, we'll have a couple times with you here on the show again.
It would be my pleasure. Thank you. My privilege to be with you.
Lovely, lovely. We appreciate you, Barbara, very, very much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Or if you catch us on the replay, like and share and follow so we can bring you more great shows, more education about healing and mediumship and spiritualism and spiritual topics. Thank you, everyone, and tune in next week for another great show of Wednesdays with Willa at 10 a.m. Eastern here on my Facebook page. All right, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.